Hi, I'm Hannah O'Day.
And I'm Melissa Boswell. Thanks for joining us for this Biomechanics On Our Minds poster episode on Learnings from Biomechanics podcast.
We're thankful to Joe Hamill, who has been Boom's biggest advocate since the beginning, and Professor Scott Delp, our advisor, who has been really supportive.
Today, we want to share some learnings that we've had hosting a podcast that's accessible worldwide with 42 episodes that's growing in popularity. We want to show you how these conversations can be fun and useful and empower you to have some of your own. Let's get started.
Boom has three main goals: to increase access, build community, and improve scientific culture.
Before we get started with the goals, let's take a quick peek at what makes up an episode. So we always start with a bit of Boom, where we share some new findings in biomechanics, like how hearing music activates the motor system. The main segment of the episode is a conversation with an expert in the field, like Professor Chris Haas, who we talked about patient-centered research with. We wrap up with research fails, where we share some of our mistakes and mistakes others share with us as learning experiences.
Our episodes have led to additional sharing of biomechanics research and learning about topics that aren't always talked about in daily conversations. Our episodes cover biomechanics topics like exoskeletons and breast biomechanics,
Career topics like academia, nonprofits, and needs finding.
and some of those topics we might not usually talk about, like research in developing countries, LGBTQ+ experiences, and also mental health.
We hope that these conversations continue throughout the scientific community.
Not only do we use statistics to measure whether we're meeting our goals, but we also really value feedback that we are getting from our listeners.
Like this listener who mentions the opportunity to hear from researchers and professors that she otherwise wouldn't have.
We also started a new series on Boom called Student Voices, where students are able to host their own episode of Boom. A student who participated said, "This is so awesome, definitely a highlight experience of my PhD."
We have helped build up the biomechanics community by collaborating with other biomechanics initiatives and helping share other research. We've worked with The Biomechanist, a research blog on biomechanics, MoCap Lab, a video series, and Dr. You, another podcast hosted by a student.
Though we may not normally talk about failure in our daily lives, we love to share failures on Boom to give a more holistic picture of the researcher and acknowledge how important failure is to the research process. As a result, we've even seen listeners change their perspective on failing after learning that experts fail too.
We want to share some takeaways from our experiences that might be useful for others wanting to start their own initiatives. We've learned that these initiatives should be free and accessible to everyone. We've tried to raise up other students and initiatives, bringing light on other creative and new ideas. We try to keep our conversations open and empathetic, which really allows others to feel that they can share it. We try to stay curious and be brave when reaching out to people. And we always have fun and try to be ourselves to make the podcast more welcoming and enjoyable.
Are you hungry for more and want to get involved? Feel free to share comments, feedback, ideas. Use this as a learning tool. Nominate an interviewee or suggest a topic that you want to hear about on Boom. You can host your own Student Voices episode, share a research fail, or a bit of Boom. Please contact us via Twitter or email. We'd love to hear from you.
We want to give a special shout out to the International Society of Biomechanics for being the platform where we started the podcast and for all of their continued support. Peter Washington helps make the music for the podcast, and we also wanted to thank Sanford Health for supporting the Student Voices initiative. And thank you for listening.
I'm Hannah O'Day.
And I'm Melissa Boswell.
Biomechanics Off Our Minds.